What's happening, everybody, and welcome back to the True Gamer Podcast, a podcast hosted by two gamers for you, the True Gamers. I'm one of your hosts, Eddie, along with my bro, the inverted gamer himself, Chips. Bro, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Yeah?
I slept awfully, even for me last night, to be fair.
Awfully as in like, oh, it was a terrible night's sleep, or was it awful like two seasoned young men, seasoned men?
I was going to say young, yeah, safe.
Where we sleep perfectly normal, perfectly great, but because our head's just a little bit twisted like that, no, it's ruined the night.
Unironically, somewhere between 25 and 32, you get injuries from sleeping incorrectly. Up to 21, you're made of rubber.
Yeah.
I can bounce back from anything.
Hit by a train, done.
25, you start being like, maybe I need some time after like a heavy night of drinking or something like that, right? Hangovers I was like, I never get hungover, really.
You thought you was a superhero.
Yeah, I was like, other people are just weaker than me.
Weak, inferior people.
Yeah. And then it turns out, you're just like 18. Of course you are. Anyway, no. Slept, like, positioned properly, so I didn't pull my back from, sleeping 1/18 of a degree incorrectly. It was horrendous. But, obviously, which podcast are we doing, bruv? Is this True Gamer, yeah?
This is the True Gamer, so
cool.
Obviously the sleep talk is part of it.
Obviously part of it. Gaming talk.
Right.
I haven't played a single freaking game in about a month.
No way.
Tell a lie. We played 4 hours or something of Portal 2.
Oh, okay.
Which was actually good fun. I mean, the game's like 15 years old or something.
Yeah,
it's an old game, but it's good fun, and it's fun. But I've been streaming a lot, like you say. Weirdly, I've sort of made... So I'm learning Python, for anybody that doesn't know. And in my head, I've made it sort of... I'm not really an achievement hunter kind of guy, but I have kind of gamified learning to code.
That's the best way to do anything.
And we've beaten like 4 bosses.
Oh,
nice. We've beaten the rock, paper, scissors boss. We've beaten the number guessing boss, And at this point, we're actually on to like the first real... We're on Margit from like Elden Ring. We're on like a first proper boss. And... it's my first playthrough, so I'm still fat rolling. I still don't know what I'm doing. It's still punishing. But we're doing a password manager / generator.
Okay.
And realistically, there's anything you can download for free on the App Store is going to be like way better than this. But it is the first thing that's going to like...
Don't oversell yourself here.
But it's going to be an actual project. Like, it's going to be something that's actually useful. Like, the other stuff isn't useful. It's not fun. Like, they're games, but they're the worst version of the... Like, maybe we'll make Snake or something. But, like, for what we've got right now, it's garbage, right? And this garbage... I've streamed for over 50 hours this month. I'm really enjoying streaming, by the way.
I can tell. I'm really happy for you, man.
I really enjoy it. It's like... It's funny, isn't it? I would actually rather do the videos that you make, like for your God of War stuff. Right. Can't do it. Never sound natural. I don't enjoy it. If it's not perfect, I have to redo the whole thing in one take.
The table, do it.
Yeah, I hate it. But streaming, I prefer it. It's really good. So I haven't really done any gaming. I bought a bunch of like niche games because everybody was saying, oh yeah, play like... Not little things. Yeah, I guess compared to like God of War, like little unknown things. Yeah. And like Sophie mentioned Tales of Iron, which is like this little, you're like a mouse or something but you're knights and I don't know, it looked cool. Showed you that game where there's like a chick stuck in your computer and you have to use like MS Paint and Minesweeper in the in-game computer
so you can have a girlfriend.
Right, wherever that is. I downloaded I Love You, Colonel whatever.
Colonel Sanders, yeah.
Which looks hilarious because people are like, you're just going to play Weeb games. So I was like, right, Weeb games, download. And I've been meaning to play those, but I've actually genuinely been enjoying learning to code. It's probably one of the first times I've ever actually liked learning something. Oh. I was hoping to have the whole point. The major focus was to get the Discord bot, like we've discussed. I think people know about this, for you up and running sort of by January. Nah. That's never happening. Not even close.
You just can't get good help these days.
I know.
I made an order. I put in an order and nowhere to be seen. I can't even contact him. Send him a message. Nothing. Just go straight.
That's right.
To red.
That's right. So, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. There is a lot to learn. Initially, so we'll get off coding. We will get to gaming, I swear. But I sort of gamified this. This is the video game I'm obsessed with at the minute. Initially, you get in and like there's so much to learn, right? Like not just the language that you're trying to do, but like, so for example, I wanted to make this bot that would web scrape gaming articles and put it into a Discord for you, right? Yeah. Web scraping requires that you learn how websites work, right? So like HTML and CSS,
right,
to know what part of the website it needs to do, which I obviously didn't know that. and then like if I want to keep some of this stuff, so like this bot is something that will, as I get better and want to make it more useful, I'll want to like refer back to it and add to it. So the best place to put that stuff is this gaff called GitHub. You've probably heard of that.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. That requires that you learn all of these like it's Linux on the command line. So you have a terminal there, like the actual the hacker window. And the only way really to get stuff on there is that you have to use that and find the document in the text box and then link it to your GitHub and then
this sounds like you need, in order to learn to run, you need to learn how individual muscle fibers work.
Very much.
and then figure out the skeletal system.
Very much. Very much.
And figure out feedback from nerves.
Yeah. Very much so. Very much so.
You thought, how hard is running?
Yeah, you just one leg in front of the other and then do that quickly. Yeah, no, not at all. But I'm really enjoying it. I am really enjoying it.
As long as you're enjoying it, that's the main thing.
And I'll tell you the thing that I really do love, and one of the reasons that's got me loving streaming again is that we've been really lucky. We've always built really cool communities, but the tech side of stuff is probably the only community that's like genuinely happy to see somebody that doesn't know what they're doing come in and trying to learn this stuff. There are so many dudes in my Twitch chat who I've never met before, obviously, like they're not from the community, and they're like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm trying to do this. I've got like a notepad of like, tier 1 projects, that's like the rock, paper, scissors game, all the way to like the final project being the Discord bot.
Hacking the FBI. Sorry, my bad. Sorry,
it's the NSA.
That. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. What's that line from The Big Short? Like, oh yeah, don't say Ben Ricker and Dirty Bomb in the same line. Like, by the way, that 100% means this is being listened to now.
Oh, great.
Sorry, FBI, it's just a joke.
We love America. No.
So, this is the wrong podcast for this. What was I even? Oh yeah, so all of these dudes are like, oh, you need one of these, or here's a great resource, or like, it's just that, especially in gaming, I find like a lot of gaming and specific games, they're same with anime as well. Like their fan bases can be really toxic. Like if you're not doing it right, for example, if you were to get into speedrunning a specific game, there might be people that come in and be like, you're not good at this.
Yeah.
Stop it, or you're annoying it, or you're doing it wrong.
A lot of the hobbies that we like, I've got those toxic views. I was going to say Superman fandom.
Yeah.
One of the most toxic fandoms out there. And anything you say.
Enjoying BBS.
Immediately. Oh, no, you can't enjoy
you're
something,
not
okay?
You're not allowed to enjoy Zack Snyder movies,
and then you're not even allowed to.
You can't like The Batman and Batman vs. Superman.
Oh, no.
Or Justice League, right? So it's been really refreshing for me to find that,
That's cool, man. That's cool.
It is a really cool. I also get the impression that woodworking is probably quite similar to that, where people are just like, oh, hey, this is a really good thing for your first attempt, or something like that, And I really dig that. And also a lot of the people, I'm like, I'm not good at this. And they're like, dude, there's so much to this. Because when you look into it, articles and stuff where you're like, how to learn to code or whatever, they're like, it's really easy. Python's like one of the easiest languages to learn. Then I start doing it and I'm like, I don't get this. Maybe I'm not the smartest man in the world, but I'm also not like the dumbest.
Like I really downplayed that there. I'm not the smartest guy in the world.
I don't want to say the bar too high. But like, and all these guys are like, nah, this is normal. Like you're a month in, you don't have any background in it. Yeah. Like there's a lot to know. And there are some really basic things that I don't know. I just don't understand, and I'm hoping I'll get there. But everybody's been really patient with me. I've been really genuinely enjoying it. As these guys the 10 minutes of me gushing about fucking, oh, I love people that code,
I was gonna say these people aren't your real friends. If they were real friends, they'd be telling you how shit you are.
Right.
Like me.
I'm expecting that to change. Like once I'm competent enough, I'm expecting to just get shit hurled at me. But that's the way like this is supposed to be, right? Once you're in and can do the thing, then people tell you how shit you are.
Yeah.
But if you can't do the thing, what's the point in telling you? We all know that I'm shit.
Yeah.
So I've been genuinely really enjoying it, but I do want to carve out some time to play some games because I did spend like, I don't know, 50 or 60 quid on these niche games. And not like because anyone said so. I thought they looked cool. So I spent the money on them. And I don't want to be one of those guys that has a Steam library of like a million things that are never played, you know, which is very easily possible.
It's very possible on PlayStation, and we do that. We've already got that.
Yeah, exactly. So, what about you, bruv? What have you been doing? You been gaming anything?
I have been gaming.
Yeah.
The only game that I've really been playing, and I think I'm going to
Woodworker Simulator 2.
I got the real life thing, baby. I don't need to worry about that. No, I've been playing Phantom Liberty.
Okay.
I started it, and the beginning is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's so cinematic, and so it makes you feel like such a badass. It makes you just want to be like, oh my god, I am a spy. I am a fucking badass action hero and stuff like that. And the characters that I've met so far, I've just met Idris Elba as well, and he's really cool. He has got a bit of a funny accent sometimes. Sometimes it drops, and I'm like, was that British on the end of that?
England does exist in the cyberpunk world.
I don't know why
a lot
they
of
didn't
stuff.
stick to it.
You know,
it's like going, I know Henry Cavill does like a great American accent that's
He's
very
really
subtle
good.
and whatnot. But if someone is iconic and known for that voice, which
specifically for his London accent,
right? Henry Cavill wasn't really known for that before. No. He just sort of came out, and that's when he became Superman. But Idris Elba is known like Lufa.
He's Lufa.
Exactly. So his voice would be like, people wouldn't be like, can't stand it. Oh no, how did this happen? How did this happen? They'll be also, like, it's fucking Idris Elba.
First of all, if he's a villain, like Americans love English villains. It makes sense.
I don't know if he's gonna be a villain yet, but
no idea.
He's pitched as a good guy so far.
The other thing that I've seen a clip of, it's Idris Elba and not Jon Snow, but like his older brother in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And they're like thieves, and he's like, get my wallet or whatever, and like he goes past him, bumps into him, comes back around, and he's like, my wallet's still there. He's like, yeah, but the money's gone. And it's like this cool, like, I'm actually better than you think, sneaky scene. But they're both doing American accents, and they both suck. You know, and it's like, why can't they just be Brits? Just make them British. Yeah. You know. Or like, what was that one? Who played Jean Grey? Sansa Stark played Jean Grey. I forget her name. And it's like, rather than just having the worst,
Turner,
if you say so, rather than having the worst American accent, maybe you just add in one line and you just retcon Jean Grey. Like, hey Jean, how are you finding the move from London or wherever? She's from England. Oh yeah, really great. Continue the movie. Now Jean Grey's British. Yeah. And you have the actress that you want acting in her best way possible because she's not focusing on her shit American accent.
I have to assume a lot of it comes down to thinking about how stupid some audiences are.
Maybe.
Because some people just can't conceptualize a British person as being like a good guy.
Yeah.
And it's mainly Americans, it's Hollywood.
I know what you're saying, yeah.
And they can't conceptualize that at all. So they're like, well, if he's a good guy, we have to give him an American accent. Because that's how it works.
I mean, if he's pro-freedom...
then we need to give him a freedom accent. Freedom. So that's what I think it comes down to, unfortunately. And I've made things like that as well. Like sometimes when I'm writing something out, and I know it might get like a bit of traction, I'll write the like armor in the American way or something like that. Because otherwise, I know these dickheads are gonna be like,
what's armor? And
then just like ignore it. And I'm
you spell armor wrong.
So stuff like that. Maybe. Anyway, Phantom Liberty is great.
Are you enjoying it?
I am enjoying it. I'm playing it on the PC.
Yeah.
And I've turned up all the settings to maximum.
Can that thing handle it?
It can. That's right. It can handle it, but boy, is it about to take off.
Is it?
I've turned everything up to like psycho settings.
Okay.
And it's Cyberpunk, which is already a demanding game and a game that pushes the limits.
Good thing you got the AC up here as well.
Exactly. I turn it on maximum and then turn on the PC maximum, and right behind me, I'm like, shh.
you know what you should have done? Is you should have kept the hole in the wall with the other AC units. You could pump cold air directly into the PC.
Do you remember we used to do that with the PC that you've
Yes.
got now, right? Someone told me, they were like, maybe that's not a good idea. And I'm like, why is that? It's like, well, you're pumping really cold air onto hot components. It's going to cause like condensation. I was like,
Well, but
good point.
it's got fans though. So the
point.
fans are pulling.
True. Like maybe the moisture can't stay there long enough.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Also, it's AC air, so it's like dehydrated, isn't it?
True.
What we should do is just take out the dehydrating bit of the AC and just stick it into the.
Who doesn't want any humidity, huh? Who doesn't want that? Bro.
Yes.
This is a gaming podcast.
What?
I know we spoke a little bit about gaming in there, but it's time to talk about some proper gaming news.
Okay.
Because some big stuff has happened in the gaming scene. Some of it surprising, some of it not.
Yeah, some major things are happening.
Yes. Let's start with the biggest one that happened literally yesterday. Microsoft have laid off 1,900 employees. Some of it from Xbox, but most of it from the newly acquired Activision Blizzard publisher after just 3 months after publishing them.
Yeah. Purchasing them.
Yeah. Included in that are people like Blizzard's president, Mike Ybarra, as well as their CDO, Chief Design Officer, Alan Adham. I didn't know if it was meant to be Adham because it's spelled ADHAM, so I just thought I'd pronounce that way. And along with that, they've also announced the cancellation of their previously announced unnamed survival open world game.
Yeah.
So, good things have coming from this purchase of Activision. All good things for everybody in the gaming industry. As all of those Xbox fanboys said, this can only be good for gamers.
Of course.
Great stuff right here.
So there's one other thing that sort of goes along with this. Are we going to talk about Power World at all?
Yes, we are.
Cool. Then we can add that in and we'll come back to Microsoft then. One thing. If you have the budget to purchase something, $70 billion.
Yes.
Or whatever. Was it 70 or like 68?
69
whatever.
point something.
70 billion. We can round
Yeah,
that. That's reasonable enough, right?
Yeah.
And you buy it because it makes money. Why do you need to cut all of that fat off the bone? You know? And the other thing is that a company like Blizzard, which by the way, you know, corporate evil entity, not arguing that, oh, poor Blizzard, right? But the people, individuals aren't evil. They're there to do a job and they are passionate, right? When you cut that much talent, how can you possibly expect it to then function? This isn't a case of like, as much as you may like hate or love Elon Musk, Twitter had like 80% of the people there weren't essential. It could run on a skeleton crew.
I was shocked when that many people got fired from the company. I was
You'd
like,
think it would have turned
surely
off.
this whole thing is going to turn off.
Yeah.
And then it didn't. I was like, well, surely that backs up the fact that these people were completely unnecessary.
Right. But when you have that much... Now, cancelling a project, that's one thing. You're like, do you know what? Based on R and Microsoft, they know how to make money from games, Microsoft do. They have a proven track record of making money, making good games, and making good money from those games, don't they? Microsoft know what they're doing when it comes to this stuff. Blizzard have no clue. What have they only ever made? Like Overwatch and...
Last year,
World of Warcraft, the Warcraft series, StarCraft. I mean, they just don't know.
Last year, they turned over $10 billion in revenue.
They haven't got a clue. Not compared to Microsoft.
Not compared to Microsoft.
So, I understand maybe cancelling a project. Or maybe say, actually, we'd rather that you focus on these things like World of Warcraft, as an example, prints money. Like... and the microtransactions they do, there was a special mount that they did for like a month. That mount, purchasing it, made more money than StarCraft in total. Just that mount,
That's
right?
crazy.
It's insane. So they're able to monetize appropriately. Maybe you say, well, we don't want that team working on this. Actually, it would be better to have, you know, that talent over here focusing on these things or expanding something.
Yeah.
When you cut 1,900 people, I have to wonder if you know what the frick you're doing.
Exactly. And also it's just straight up evil. Because you spending, like I said, $70 billion to buy a company and then claiming you don't have enough money to keep these 1,900 people.
Yeah.
That in 3 months, I don't know how you managed to determine that they were completely wasted and you should get rid of them.
Yeah.
When this from a publisher which was going amazingly well before, like we mentioned, $10 billion they were bringing in revenue. So clearly this was working very well before.
Yeah.
And if you're trying, and also you was in a court proceedings trying to pitch that you're not destroying the gaming industry when doing this, and also you're trying to convince everybody in the gaming industry that you're not trying to destroy it, that you're trying to make it better. After spending $70 billion, you couldn't spare just a little bit to keep these people, to allow them to have a roof over their head, to pay for their medical bills, to pay for their groceries and shit like that. I understand business is business, but you're really not helping the allegations that you're just a really shitty company. A $3 trillion market cap company.
Is that what Microsoft is?
Yeah, they've just tipped over $3 trillion.
The thing is, so a lot of people don't understand that when one company purchases another, that doesn't mean that like the purchased company gets preferential rates. So like Twitch uses Amazon's servers, AWS, they pay market rate.
Yeah.
Even though it's part of Amazon, right? So there's not necessarily special considerations that go into these things, which means that even though it's a what do you call it, like a child brand, or there's a parent brand that owns it, that it has to run on its own. And Activision Blizzard runs on its own, was able to run on its own. Now, that doesn't mean that, like, let's say they cut 200 to 300 people. Maybe you go, maybe those weren't essential. Maybe that was bloating from like COVID stuff and doesn't need to be there.
Some departments are going to be copies, because Microsoft probably has a department that does the exact same thing that happens in Activision Blizzard. And now that they're one, they may not need some of those jobs.
Like their
in there.
QA department that let Redfall come in.
Exactly. They don't need... And you know what? That's a large part of the people that got taken out. There was it Sledgehammer Games? Let me just double check it.
The other COD guys.
Basically, the other COD. Sledgehammer Games says that the senior QA lead, him and the entirety of his team were let go. You guys have a QA problem over at Microsoft. That was not the first place you should have started.
No comments. The thing is as well, like I think you and me, well, because we don't know about software, right? But we do know about people, product, end user experience. I think QA is a really important role in all of this stuff, because their purpose is to simulate you and me using the product, find problems before they come up. Now, do things get missed? Sure, because a team of 20 can't find something that 10 million people using a service find. That's why, when COD used to come out, you'd always find bugs, right? Because 10 million people doing things are more likely to find something than 10 people who only have 3 months or whatever it is. But the point is, there were hundreds of things that we never found because that team played with these things, right? And found it or used it or whatever, right? And made sure it wasn't there when it came to us. That's really important, because the point of a product is that it is used by the customer base. So why would you get rid of that department? Especially when you have a reputation currently for games that come out under you being, Starfield feeling empty and basic. I mean, it's very much like we always talk about Black Ops 1 and then Modern Warfare 3 coming out, where Modern Warfare 3 was just the next Modern Warfare, and they just didn't seem to realize that things had moved on.
Yeah, progressed since then.
And Starfield is very much the next one from Bethesda, which is weird because they had made other games in between.
Yeah.
And they know what's out there. And like, I think Starfield would have been a pretty decent game in like 2013. I think it would have been properly good in 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit empty, but whatever, right? Like, what games weren't in 2013? But it's not 2013. It's 2023 when it comes out. Like, how can you justify this? And look, Blizzard makes its own money, can pay its own bills, right? It's a strong, independent woman and don't need no man.
That's the extra bit as well, because had they made it wait a year, you might go like, okay, they've assessed the situation. They kept They kept them on to see how they would benefit.
Yeah.
They would see what the companies, and they didn't lose anything crucially because again, Blizzard makes all of its own money, tons of its own money, so it covers all of its bills plus some.
Also, this is double toxic. If you think about this, right? It just occurred to me as you were saying that they let everyone go all at once. If they'd have had a year and every 2 months let 50 to 100 people go,
Yeah.
the same amount of people lose their jobs, but one, we know who's essential. Like, if it turns out that 200 of those people were essential, they have made a big mistake. But if they let 50 of those people go, and then they realize, actually, we're suffering, don't let the other 100, do you know what I mean? You stagger it. But also, there's now 1,900 people all into the job market, all applying for the same or similar jobs all at once. Like, that's really bad for those people because they're all competing against each other now.
That's the worst part. And I did say, I tweeted out, I was like, wonder how many young people now, and these people as well, or how many young people are reconsidering like game development due to seeing all the stuff like this. And I did have one guy, I won't mention his name, but he's just like, yeah, I'm in my first year of games development, games programming course at uni. And man, this has made me rethink about how much I want to pursue it. And it's really, really shit. Really shit for them.
Would definitely suggest, for perspective, I'm in recruitment, so I see what like good CVs and stuff look like. Anybody that's in a tech degree, I might suggest that you've picked something that's as broad as possible. So if you're doing game development, maybe you go and do computer science or whatever it is instead, which is a bit more general, and do some games projects on your own. And then you can apply to the games industry and say, you know, look, I got a computer science degree and I've made games in my own personal time, rather than having a game design degree. And then you may not be as competitive if you have to then apply to like software QA jobs or software developer jobs, you know, because even though you're using similar skills, you don't have the right degree.
I don't have the expertise to speak.
Something to consider. But the game industry just seems a bit troubled.
And there was the recent layoffs at Riot Games as well. There's a huge amount there. It just keeps happening in the games industry. Granted, there was a lot of like, I guess there was a lot of hiring over like COVID times and whatnot, so losing. But we're far past that now, and this is just companies trying to cut as much as possible so they can show record profits each time.
It's so toxic.
It's so toxic because the way they see it is that if they don't show more profit than the year before, then they're losing money. They're seeing like they're failing, like the business is about to go bankrupt. And we know like if we're doing the same as was last year or just a little bit less, it's still massive amount of profits. But they don't see it that way, and they want to see it that way all the time.
The thing is with a lot of these things as well, so it was spending over COVID and that like from 2020 to 2022, somewhere in there we were still are we, aren't we, right? The world's back to normal now. So people's spending habits and where they spend their time have drastically changed and reverted back. You cannot keep that. Everybody's inside. They got nothing to do. They got stimulus money coming in, all that stuff. What are we going to do? Where's that spending gone? Well, it's disappeared. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
You know, keeping your profits the same, it's just not going to work.
About Microsoft, though.
Yeah.
I think this is very telling to how
This is very Microsoft.
Very Microsoft. I think this is very telling to how it actually is inside Microsoft. I know at Microsoft project and the Xbox fanboys, they eat it all up. They love it. They're like, with the best of the best of the best, and we do everything the best, and look how much money we're making with the best of the best of the best. Microsoft maybe, but Xbox is totally in a different area.
Yeah.
And the fact that they needed to cut 2,000 people's jobs after spending 70 billion, and they couldn't keep them on for a little bit longer. They couldn't keep a company that's making money, that's in profit, making huge amounts of profit. They couldn't keep those people there. Just shows that they need that money desperately. They need to show more profits on this side.
Yeah.
They need it to be folded into them, and they wanted to cut as much crap as possible. Everything just points like warning sign, and it looks crap. It looks crap.
Just basic maths, right? In 100 people, there's one guy there doing 5 or 10 people's worth of work, right? That there's one guy that's the best at what he does, and he got cut. In those 100 people, even if they're the worst of the company, the best of those 100 is doing a lot more work than the rest of them, right? Can you afford to lose 19 of those people? Because I would bet there's 10 to 20 of those type of people got caught in these layoffs.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think you can in the best of times.
And Microsoft have a big problem with producing high quality games.
Right.
So they need it more than anyone.
Yeah. It just basic mathematics, the chances that they have lost a significant amount of, and whether it's like even creative stuff, forget creative things. I'm just talking about like workers getting stuff made, right? Like the best guy in the factory on the production line.
Yeah.
The likelihood is that guy or someone like that guy has been caught up and they have lost workhorses, like people that just get more stuff made than the other people for whatever reason, right? That in and of itself is bad. And then you wrap it in the whole fact that Microsoft does seem to have this issue with having good ideas, games that work, and games that are satisfying. Like those are the three keys to like any good game. It works well, Redfall. It's satisfying, Starfield.
Yeah.
And interesting story, Starfield. Right? Like they're lacking in all of those fronts. Do you go into a company that has made like WoW's been out since 2004, 2006, and people are still playing it? There's a reason for that, right?
Yeah.
Blizzard is good at keeping people engaged. Of whatever the things that stick, they double down on those things.
Yeah. And I also love the idea that Microsoft came into this company that's working very well and thought, let's mess with the formula.
Yeah.
You want to ruin what you bought? Okay.
We have a formula that works really well.
Okay. All right. Well, do you know what's extra stupid about what was extra shitty about this? So when the Activision merger and Microsoft merger went through, Phil Spencer did his thing. He did his PR tour. He did his winning tour going
when we
around.
all play, we'll win.
And he went there. He set up a stand so he can cook pancakes with all the employees.
Right.
Took a nice picture with everyone in the background. All the like thousands of employees there. Yeah. Everyone's having fun. Everyone's smiling, knowing full well that he's going to axe
2,000 people.
2,000 people from in this bunch.
Yeah.
How scummy is that?
It's disgusting, isn't it? It's just the exact. He's a suit.
He's a suit. It is. It's what we've said all the time. It's the politician aspect of it that is really shitty. Going up, shaking hands, saying, "Oh, it's really great meeting you.
You're doing a great job.
You're doing a great job. You guys are fantastic." And then turning around to the guy and goes, "Get rid of those guys. Get rid of those guys."
Right. It's ridiculous.
Such a shitty place.
It's ridiculous. I think,
and all we say is like, "Hey, just don't trust these big companies." And then they're like, "Oh no, Microsoft, they're the best." Xbox.
Do not trust any of these people. The thing is, this feels like, imagine, like if I bought Cinnabon, and I was like, Cinnabon, they make great. Do you know Cinnabon?
Are they?
They're like a
sweet.
Yeah, they're like a bakery, but they make cinnamon like donut drinks. It's called Cinnabon, right? It would be like me buying Cinnabon and being like, you guys are doing a great job. But I don't like cinnamon, so we're going to take it out of the cinnamon roll.
There we go.
You know? And then it's like, why did you do
why
that?
Are you messing with it?
Why are you messing with the recipe? Right? And then being like, man, why is your company failing? We bought you because you were successful. Yeah, then you took the cinnamon out of our cinnamon product because you don't like cinnamon. Yeah, I don't like cinnamon. That's why I took it out. Yeah, but other people do like it.
Like, clearly, we went, look all this money we made
in
before.
Our name.
Just take out the cinnamon.
Yeah, bun.
All right.
Right. So it's, it just feels like this, you know, feels like that. I can't see any good reason to do it.
It's just shitty. It's just shitty. And like I said, the main takeaway is that Microsoft are trying to pitch themselves as a company that's helping the gaming industry, that could be a benefit to the gaming industry.
Pro-gamer.
Exactly. Pro-consumer, pro-gamer, pro-gaming industry. They're trying to convince us so much that this Game Pass isn't a detractor from the industry when everything we see shows that it is. And then they're like, cool, we've got $3 trillion market cap, but we can't afford to pay these people a salary so they can live their lives, so they can feed their children, so they can pay their bills for just a little while longer. 3 months is all we got in us.
That's the thing. The idea that you got 3 months, the 2,000 people that you cut, the 3 months is enough data now that you're specifically looking to get rid of them for you to justify getting rid of them.
Yeah.
How about a year, 6 months to a year, and you say, look, guys, we are looking to we think some of these jobs aren't essential. You should know that we're going to be looking. And that lets everybody know, first of all, do better work if you've been like phoning it in. And second of all, like maybe you should start looking around. We're looking at these 3 departments in particular. Based on our metrics from running, a very successful company in Microsoft, it looks like some of this stuff may not be essential, and we're looking to, streamline things. So the thing is that no corporation does that. That's the reality. Is they do it like this to avoid any hassle. But the reality is, with that amount of layoff, they have caught people that should not have been caught. I do not believe that 1,900 people were not essential.
Right, and you managed to figure that all out in 3 months. This is going to have
especially in such a
ramifications.
complex machine.
Right.
Like, again, Twitter is ultimately a website from 2007.
It's one thing.
Yeah.
One thing. Like,
Right.
do you do coding? You do coding. Cool. How much coding have you done? You've really not done anything in this gaff.
Right.
All right, out of here.
Yeah.
Why do we have a dedicated bagel team? What's this all about? Get out of here. But with this, it's so complex. There's so many working parts that go together.
Right.
And this is going to come back round to them because, like I mentioned, I feel sorry for anyone who's like studying like a game development university. And as we saw, James, who mentioned it, he's reconsidering it. It's all going to come back round.
Yeah.
The next wave of people are going to reconsider. Well, they're going to consider carefully where they're going to work.
Yeah.
Be like, well, shit. I don't know if I'll survive very long going for Microsoft.
Yeah.
So maybe the smartest, best people are just going to be like, I'm going to try something else. Whether it's independent, whether it's finding a newly established company with some veterans in there, whether it's going to PlayStation, Nintendo, whatever it might be. But they'll look at Microsoft and they'll say, these fuckers bought these guys, were working perfectly, amazingly, doing great, and then axed all these people out here.
What
and
about-
I've heard, because I'm in this community, that I've heard that they just chucked me out on the street and I didn't give a crap.
What about the people that are still there? Right? There's someone there and they're like, wait, they got rid of Bob?
He was essential.
He was the guy
Sarah,
for the thing.
she did this.
You think there's trust there now? No, there's absolutely not. You think that these people aren't looking there going, Bob and Sarah did more work than our entire team, and they just axed us or them. These guys were the shit. If just Bob and Sarah are the only 2 out of the 1,900 that really were that good, there are other teams, other senior people, other very good people going, wait, if they got caught up, there's no future here for me. And I guarantee once things settle down a bit, there are some CVs that would not have been on the market that are going on to Indeed or Reed or whatever
100%.
that would not have been, because a bunch of those people, like the two senior guys, they've been there since like Blizzard was founded, sort of thing. They've been there for like over a decade.
Interesting that they left. Like, we didn't hear any word of, like, especially Mike Ybarra. I know that guy's name very well. President of Blizzard just decided, I'm out.
Yeah.
Strange.
I mean,
Maybe he was. This is just purely
could be like golden
conjecture.
parachute type stuff, or they
Could
want
be.
to get rid of old leadership, like, which is somewhat normal in big merger type things. But well, maybe he was like, "Wait, you're going to cut 2,000? Oh yeah, I'm not going to be the face of Blizzard when we cut 2,000 people.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Could be.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not ideal.
Anyway, this is all just pretty shitty, and Microsoft's here to save games.
If it,
so you can say.
yeah, I mean, the thing is as well, like, let's say it was Sony. Sony had bought Activision Blizzard and then done this, I would have been like, one, soulless, heartless corporation.
Right.
Everything we said about the talent and, the number of quality people in the 2000, but Sony does have a recipe and has consistently delivered in the realm where Blizzard exists.
At least you could say that, right?
Right.
It's not doesn't excuse anything, but
No,
at
this would
least,
still be terrible.
At least you can say
When it comes to delivering games, delivering product to market, Sony has a recipe that works, and maybe they know something. They have a formula that maybe this didn't need to be there. maybe. Still shitty, probably not the case, but they do deliver the product in the market successfully.
Yeah. It's like going, like Christopher Nolan decided not to use this, like Leonardo DiCaprio for this role you think that he might just nail. The guy decided not to go for him, but like, oh man, I would have really liked that. But it's not like Christopher Nolan don't know what the fuck he's doing.
Right.
So let's just chill out, okay? Right. I mean, it's shit.
I would have liked Leo in this role. But Christopher Nolan knows what he's doing.
Kind of knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, it is specifically that where you're like, what are the last 2 games you brought out? What are the last, what have you been doing in the last 10 years? Okay, so compared to the other company that's been doing stuff in the last 10 years, why do you think you know better?
Yeah.
Because I don't think you can reasonably make that argument. I'm not saying this was the wrong call. I don't know that, right?
Can't see the future.
Yeah, we can't see the future and we don't have the internal data that they will have had. But what we can say is that in the last 10 years, Blizzard's been, and Activision Blizzard have been
thriving.
Doing very well and delivering the product in the area to the customer properly. And there are problems with it. Like I have big beef with Blizzard about all their stuff in China, you know?
Yeah.
Big beef. And to be clear, when I say China, here CCP, not China.
Yeah.
Right? But like man, Microsoft's doing fine. Xbox is not. Why are we making these decisions?
Well, let's talk about the next topic, which is Xbox making even more bad decisions for the gaming industry and for consumers.
Perfect.
It's reported, this is just reported at the moment, it's not confirmed just yet, that Xbox are laying off their entire physical games department, leaving no option but for you to buy games digitally, basically making you feel stupid for not buying Game Pass, basically, I imagine, right?
Yeah.
Like if you can only buy digital, then you always have to go to their store. You always have to see the Game Pass advertisement at the front. This is just a way to strong arm you into buying Game Pass, basically. They want to plaster that in front of your face so much that you're like, God, I guess I have to buy it because it's right there all the time. This is available on Game Pass. This is available on Game Pass. This isn't available on Game Pass, but if I get Game Pass, then I get Game Pass when I do that. Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass. People won't willingly come to it, so they're forcing them to get it.
The whole game, they're just doubling down. This feels like those old school doctors where it's like, oh, you've got a headache, we need to bleed you. And actually the headache's like a tumor. And they're like, well, the headache didn't go away. We need to bleed you more. Yeah. Oh, the headache hasn't gone. We have, like, obviously the bleeding's over. We haven't bled you enough. Yeah. Right? Where it's like the wrong thing for the misdiagnosing the issue and then using the wrong treatment for that thing anyway. And then when it doesn't work, well, we need to do more of that thing.
Double down, yeah.
Like, Game Pass isn't working. Game Pass doesn't do what they want it to do. It doesn't make money, not even close, and it trains your users not to buy games. It trains your customers not to pay you. It's not good. And then when you don't make money, you look for other ways, but you decide to double down on this. You go, where can we save money? Oh, maybe let's fire 2,000 people from a company that does make money, selling games to customers. It is... At the very base level, the foundations are rotten from this school of thought. It just doesn't work.
It's so bad. Not only does this prove that, like we said, like you said just then, and what we've been saying for a long time, that Game Pass has just trained their customers now to not buy games.
Yeah, I see so many comments saying that this game looks great. I'll wait for it to come out on Game Pass.
That's all it is. All it is. Because even if it wasn't for Game Pass, your argument, I bet Microsoft's argument would be, well, people are just buying digital nowadays. That's not the argument. No. Because you'd still be making the game. You can still make it physically. Yeah. But the problem is that you're not selling games, so you might as well shut down the department.
Yeah.
That's making the physical games because you're not selling them.
Yeah.
That's what is going on. Because otherwise, if you're selling them, you'd still be fine.
Why wouldn't you?
You'd still keep it.
Yeah.
It is shitty on multiple fronts. One, that now they're just forcing people to go to their own store where they essentially have a monopoly now. There was a court case recently. Someone has opened a class action lawsuit against PlayStation, saying that the prices on PlayStation Store are too high and that they effectively have a monopoly because no one else can set the price of PlayStation games on PlayStation Store. it's their own store, so why should anyone else?
Right.
And it's probably going to get thrown out. It's one of those dumb things because anyone can start a case, just whether or not it goes anywhere doesn't mean anything.
That's kind of ridiculous.
Right. But now Microsoft are making it an actual monopoly where you can't go anywhere to buy any other games. You have to go to Microsoft to buy the games, and they can set whatever price they want.
Yeah.
And that's that. So that's one thing. But then also game preservation. A little while ago, Phil Spencer said that he cares about game preservation, that game preservation is a meaningful thing for gamers and for consumers. All bullshit, just to get you to vote for him. It's again the politician aspect that I really bloody hate. Clearly he doesn't care because they're shutting down the physical games department. And you're not going to be able to store or preserve any digital games. You're screwed.
Yeah.
Now, granted, for the longest time, all of the Microsoft games, the discs are just nothing.
Yeah.
They just redirect links to Microsoft Store, and then you download it.
Yeah.
And I know a ton of people who are in the physical game market, they're like, this is bullshit. Microsoft stopped doing this. Yeah. The guys at Digital Foundry, they're like, this is just dumb. This is just so stupid. And
it's stupid.
We're never going to be able to preserve games if you keep going like this. So there wasn't anything to preserve in the first place, but they're just doubling down and just telling you that they don't care.
What's ironic
about any of your physical collection?
What's ironic is you could have spun up your physical department and said, okay, we're not going to do mass games. What we are going to do is like niche runs of like steel books, you know, with all the best stuff. That's all the physical stuff we're going to be doing because most people go digital. And you go, okay, well, I don't agree with that. But you make a high quality product. Microsoft seems to, or Xbox seems determined to be the lowest common denominator, the most people with the worst product. When we all know that the best money is in the best products.
Yeah.
Like we're screaming for Sony to give us like custom like runs of stuff of like PlayStation 5 cases and DualShocks and stuff.
Collect edition this, collect edition that.
Right. Like I could understand saying that, but like, you know, with the CDs, like, well, we don't need to print them. We're going to just send them to the store anyway. And it's like, that is the dumb, it's just stupid.
Yeah.
I want you and I like physical stuff. Yeah. Fine. And I get that a lot of people don't, but, or, you know, if you grew up later than us, maybe you do want all digital, but there is a huge portion of people, also the people with some money that do like physical stuff. I don't want a disc that is just a disc with like a logo printed on it. I want that to be the game, right? I don't want my movies, my Blu-rays to come to me and they just redirect me to the Amazon Prime.
Up an app on your TV, on your smart TV,
and just streams like from Amazon Prime. That's not what I want. I want the movie. I want to have, and I appreciate that a lot of people play multiplayer games, but if I have like The Last of Us as an example, and my internet goes out, I want to be able to put the disc in, providing the game's updated, obviously, whatever, and play my game. That's what I want.
PlayStation are very good like that, though. The game that comes on the thing is the working game that has gone gold and has the game that they have working at that time. Granted, there might be updates that will polish up a few rough edges, or maybe there's something that they've discovered afterwards, but PlayStation are very good about putting the game on the disc.
That's where it's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be, but apparently, according to Xbox, no, it's not really a thing. Yeah, that's really shitty.
It's not cool.
And if you're like me and Sheps and you like your physical games, this is it's bad news, sad news for you.
It's another Microsoft miss.
Yeah,
constantly.
It proves that, you know, there was the leak about the Xbox documents when it came to the merger. They leaked all those documents about the all digital Xbox Series X, which. People's issue with the Xbox Series X and it not selling wasn't the fact they had a disc drive in it.
No.
It was, damn, I would have bought it if it didn't have the disc drive in it. That's the one thing.
That's not it.
I can't ignore it. It's there. so I was like, why are you making this? And the digital Xbox Series S. It just proves that that's what they're thinking. They're thinking from a long time ago was to just go all digital, and they're doing it now, I guess, because they've seen that their sales have just dipped to the point that it's insignificant or not even point.
They're just trying to cannibalize as many possible revenues of sale as they can, rather than making a good product. They're doubling down and trying to squeeze as much money out of people as they can as they die. Instead of climbing out of the hole, they're just, you know.
This is a very stupid thing. This is a very stupid thing because of the next thing that I'm going to say. So this happened shortly after our last podcast. Xbox is essentially going third party now. It's almost said in those exact words.
Pretty much.
So Satya Nadella, who's the Microsoft CEO, was on an interview on TV, and he was talking about the Xbox strategy. And this is exactly what he said. He said, "We love gaming. In fact, Flight Simulator was created before even Windows. But we're number 4. And now with Activision, I think we have a chance of becoming a good publisher. On Sony, on Nintendo, on PCs, on Xbox. All intents and purposes, third-party publisher."
The thing is, I'm not invested in the Xbox ecosystem anymore, which I used to be, for the record. I pushed so hard for us to get the Xbox One, which glad we didn't.
Yeah, that one.
Really did. But like we were coming off off the strongest generation. The Xbox 360 is still one of the best consoles of all time.
Yeah.
It was the best place to play Call of Duty. It was the best place for gaming at the time. Everything ran better on it. Like The Last of Us came out at the tail end, right? So that didn't even come out yet. Halo was there. Forza, I mean, I don't care about that, but Gears of War, like all the best games were on the 360, and it ran all the third-party games better. It was the place to be. Like, but I still didn't. I wanted to go where the games were, and I wanted to go where my mates were. Like, I don't necessarily mind Xbox being like a third party. What I mind is that they're soaking up so much of the market. You have to be on Xbox. Well, hold on a minute. I thought, are you a game publisher or are you not? Are you a console maker or are you not? Are you a platform or are you not? And if you're not, which is okay, make some good freaking games.
Yeah.
Because you don't. There's no point spending billions of dollars and not making good games. Now, if they come out and there is a future where Xbox just gets out of the console race. They drop Game Pass and they go, do you know what? We're just going to make great games. You're going to be able to play them anywhere you want. We have our own hardware that you can play it on, or the Switch or PC or PlayStation, but we're just going to make some incredible games. Yeah. And then they go and make incredible games. I'll shut up about it. Great. I'll buy their games because I want to play good games. But what have they shown us?
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that. What have they shown us in the last 10 years? That's good. Name 3, not one. I'm sure there is one thing that exists.
I've long said this, that in the Xbox Series X, the Xbox One generation, there has not been a single game of consequence.
Not one.
Not one worth bringing up in conversation.
Nope.
Maybe in passing, little games, like recently there was Hi-Fi Rush, which I didn't play.
Cool. Yeah.
It looked like a fun, interesting game. A lot of people said it was quite nice. It was a very small game, and it was a little flash in the pan, and it went off like that. But
it was also on Steam.
Yeah, there was no, and apparently it's coming to PlayStation 5 as well. That's the rumor. But there have been no games of consequence. Every game that has been like, oh, it's hyped up, dead. Halo Infinite, dead. Starfield, dead. Red 4, dead. All of these games have just come and gone.
Yeah.
And no one talks about them anymore.
Yeah.
Now, there might be something coming in the future, but there's no reason to suspect that based on the track record.
Why would you?
Exactly.
You have the, I'm going to say it, the best sci-fi game IP of all time, which is Halo. It is the best. Is the best. I'll die on this hill. It's better than anything else that's out there. I love Mass Effect. Halo's better. Halo's more engaging. If done correctly, because the stakes are human. They're a human size. You got zombies in there with the Flood. You've got the unbeatable alien force in the Covenant, and you've got the underdog in like the Master Chief and the Spartans and stuff. Right? You've got an unlimited realm in which to tell stories. So like Reach is the first planet that's attacked by the Covenant. You wouldn't, I presume you don't know this.
I don't know.
Reach is the first human settlement that encounters the Spartans, the Covenant, and that allows for this brand new story to be told where no one knows that it's coming, and all the threats are new, and the Covenant don't know how to deal with us, and all this stuff, right? You can have the second planet You could continue the Master Chief story. You could set like a horror version on a ship where like the humans are captured from one ship, they're going to be interrogated and you escape and you have to get away. There's so many things you could do in the universe. So I love the original games.
I think we should make it open world. I think that's what we should do.
We should make it open world. we should make Master Chief the villain. Like there's so much that could be done. So many different stories that could be told. It is the best sci-fi game of all time.
And nothing.
Yeah.
What I was going to bring that back round to when I said the Xbox going third party and how that plays into the physical games market, it's so short-sighted because, let's be honest, Microsoft probably aren't admitting it just yet, even though they're getting close to saying it. That's where they're going. That's where they're going, and it's the smart option as well. You've got this huge publisher, you've got a lot of IPs, you've got the money, you haven't got any sense, but you've got the money. You can't sell consoles to save your life. You're giving them away left, right, and center. Move to third-party publisher. When you do that, you're going to want to sell video games. Hopefully by then you'll have made a video game that people want to buy. I know you're really set on Game Pass. But really, if you want to be successful, like all the other companies, they're not making Game Pass, right? All the successful ones. Ubisoft's following you, but Ubisoft, oh, they're great. No one else is doing what you're doing. Why? Because they want to make money, because they want to make a successful business. So you're going to want to make video games. At one point, you're going to be like, you make the next Doom game and it's amazing, it's successful and stuff like that. You're going to want to sell it. You're going to want to make video games again. And shutting down your physical games department is not how you do that. So it just seems
what's the point?
So stupid.
How are you going to ship games out to people? Unless you say, well, you have to have the like Xbox downloader or the Game Pass downloader or whatever it is. But I've got enough of that. I'm not a PC gamer and I've got enough launchers on my PC.
Yeah.
Like I don't care. And I have no investment because you don't make good stuff currently.
And crucially, one step back on what you say when it comes to the launcher, if you don't sell physical games and if you can't make physical games, then you have to rely on everyone being able to access your store.
Yeah.
If they're not on Xbox, which the majority of gamers aren't on Xbox,
correct,
then how are they going to get there? I get PC and whatnot because you can easily get the Xbox launcher and there's no investment in the ecosystem in order for you to get there. But what about the millions and millions of PlayStation gamers
who download the Game Pass app?
Well, this thing, it needs to be there. Currently, it isn't. And the millions of Nintendo fans out there that can't get there. Unless you're deciding, unless you've already got something in the works where you're like, we have already made a deal, but then which is yet to announce it, then how are you going to get there?
Why am I going to pay for their games anyway? Because Game Pass exists. So I'll just get it for $1 for a month.
That's where they've screwed themselves and shot themselves in the foot.
And Nintendo's a great example because, we've always said that like Nintendo isn't in the console war. They do their own thing. Yeah. But what does Nintendo do? It makes games for its user base. And what does its user base do? It throws money at them. Yeah. They can remake their own crap and like that's ancient and sell it at full price. And people are like, yeah, some of that. Because they make the games that they know the people that play their games enjoy. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Like, and also Nintendo is as toxic as any other company. It's a massive multinational billion-dollar company, right?
Yeah.
It is corporation.com, but it serves its customer base and nobody cares. That's it. Like, just serve your customer base and they will give you money, but you train your customer base not to buy your product. Why?
This is the worst idea.
They have to get away from Game. They have to get away from Game Pass. They have to do two things: get away from Game Pass and make good games. You cannot make good games while you have Game Pass because you don't make any money from them.
It's such an unfortunate thing because it was the idea of a subscription service.
Yeah, the Netflix of gaming. Yeah.
And for them to go, cool, we're so rich so we can take that hit up front was such a good idea.
Yeah.
All it hinged on was just being able to make good games to fill it.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing that they spectacularly fumbled at.
Yeah.
If only they could have done it.
To be honest.
And then maybe at this point they would have been like, okay, we've got enough users on the thing to justify itself. It just can't do that.
It still would have ended up somewhat toxic because the only way it really works is that every game then has to be good at microtransactions, which I'm not necessarily opposed to, but that would have to be the case for Game Pass to make good money.
Yeah.
For games on there to make money, for the developers to make money.
Or it would have needed to be stupidly successful in the fact that it was unanimously loved, unanimously paid for.
If 100 million people, like in the first year,
200
jumped
million,
on it.
200 million, 300 million people, that they needed to be swimming in money that they could appropriately pay for all of the money that they would have got for selling those copies single. It takes stupid amount of subscribers, but there you go.
And like even then, fine, sure. But the ironic thing is that Microsoft has to work at not being successful because they can compete in terms of the IPs that they own. They can compete in any domain.
Yeah.
Right. They have Rare, so they've got a bunch of the family gaming genre in that. Right. Like Banjo-Kazooie is enough. It is so good and it's people's nostalgia game from like the N64. Just remake those games and you're going to be good. Not even remake them, re-release them. Just make them playable on the Xbox as they were. Then do it just to see if people are interested.
Yeah.
Then remaster it. Then remake it. Like, just that. That's your family gaming section done. Right? Yeah. Then you've got, like, you had Bungie. You could have had Bungie. Like, you've got 343. Let me rephrase that. You own the Halo IP. Right? Make a good Halo. There's your shooter. I mean, Halo is the reason that, like, MLG exists. Right? Like, it's Halo that started the whole, like, pro gaming first-person shooter scene. It wasn't really COD, it was Halo, 100%. It started machinima stuff. You know, it was pretty ambitious, you know, like, it had Forge. Like, you could record stuff in it. There's a lot of stuff you could still do with Halo, with that IP. Burn to the ground everything you've done, start fresh and just make it good. You've got Doom. Doom's incredible, and id know what they're doing. They could make something else. Like, you can compete on so many different fronts. You got Forza, you know, like, you can compete on so many different realms, and especially now with Activision Blizzard. So they have COD,
Expanded
they've got
it even further.
Like, they can compete in every single realm, and they don't. You can only assume that it is just horrendous decision making. The decision makers are the problem, right? Somebody has to take the hit and cancel it. Game Pass.
Yeah.
Once you have some good games actually working, and I suspect that they do a lot of testing with focus groups, and they've trained the focus groups just like they've trained their user base. They've trained the focus groups to tell them what they want to hear.
Yeah.
And that's how the focus groups operate. They say, yeah, this is great. Redfall's fantastic. It's such an engaging story. Really interesting mechanics. I can't wait to play the full thing. And
it's proof that that's what they've got because they've let multiple games like that out of the door.
Yeah.
It's proof that that's how it is.
And this isn't like... I think people go, you just hate Xbox because you're Sony post. Actually, I'm complaining because they have so many incredible IPs and so much potential, and we're not getting to play these games because they won't make them.
Yeah.
And then it makes you think, like, well, what's going to happen with Fable? Because they had Halo Infinite, and that died. There was a flash in the pan.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with Fable? What's going to happen with Elder Scrolls 6? I don't care if Elder Scrolls and Fable are, well, Fable has to be really, but I don't care if Elder Scrolls 6 is exclusive. What I care about is if it's good. And when it's going to be Skyrim 1.2. It's not even going to be Skyrim 2. It's going to be 1.2.
Yeah.
And it's like, you cannot do this. It just has to be good. It needs to knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
And they have so much. They have so much there. They could right the ship. They just refuse to do it. It's so frustrating.
They want to believe that they know everything, isn't it? It's that pig-headedness. It's that belief that you know better than everybody else that's screaming around you.
I think they also listen too much to the Xbox on Twitter. I think they release stuff and the Xbox flood that with, this is the best thing, can't wait, we're going to shove it in Sony's face. And they're like, yeah, look how passionate the user base is. No, look how passionate these, like, zealots are. These dudes are fanatics for no reason. And you could just look at your own numbers. If what they were saying about you was true, you'd be competing with Sony, with Steam, with Nintendo. You're not.
Do you know what it is? It's between the Xbox Online and Xbox themselves. It's both of them thinking they're the same person in this relationship that I'm about to describe. It's, when like a mother tells a child, "You're amazing, you're great, you don't do anything wrong." It's both of them telling each other that, and they both naive enough to believe it.
Yeah.
When one of them should be the adult and be like, "You're just lying to me. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Hold on a second."
Like
It's okay for one of them to be the child, but they're both the child in this situation.
if the Xbox had all gone, you know what? Starfield isn't bad. And it isn't bad, but it isn't good. This was supposed to define a generation. This was supposed to make Xbox stand on the map. This was supposed to give all of us a reason to say, "Look, Sony ponies, here's the reason that we stayed with Xbox and we stayed the course." And you did not deliver. The game is empty. Every cave has the same map and the same skeleton at the bottom of it. It's hollow. The story is vacuous. The engagement, we don't mind the no speaking main character. Fine, whatever.
It's a Bethesda game.
The face mapping looks like it's from 2013. Like, I'm fine with you. It's a Bethesda game, but this was supposed to define the generation. This was supposed to make it reasonable to have not had a game in 700 days.
Yeah.
And if the Xbox had gone, "Look, guys, like, you're making it hard to do this. What are you doing? Go back and give us the game that you told us you were going to give us," right? And then they came back and they brought out stuff like what happened with Cyberpunk. We will still support a company if they fix their mistakes.
Yeah.
CDPR is a perfect example of that. Cyberpunk was broken. That was a problem, and now it works. And people have gone, "Okay, well, you've worked on it tirelessly for 2.5-3 years. You've made something out of this, and now it works and it's good."
So much so that I went back to and platinumed it.
There you go. Like, do that with Starfield. Make it so that in 2025, people go, "Hey, you know what's really good now? Starfield." Like with No Man's Sky? Right.
The golden example of how to come back and support a game.
We should be talking about Starfield in 2025 going, "You know what, man? Starfield really turned around. This game is unironically good. I've put 40 hours on it. I don't intend to stop." Right?
Yeah.
Like, and instead you've got nobodies showing you up. Like, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. Like, Larian Studios made Baldur's Gate 3. They're nobody.
Yeah.
They're nobodies. Their game looks better than you. The story's incredible. Like, the graphics are incredible. The face mapping's incredible. The voice acting's incredible. The story is incredible.
Yeah.
The gameplay is incredible. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And then you got who's the guys that make Power World?
Oh,
Pocket something.
Yeah.
Like, they're nobody. They're nobody. I think the team's like 20 people or less. It's something ridiculous like that. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, and my beef is half with Xbox and it's half with the Xbots. Like, you need to hold them accountable because they have all the talent in the world. They got all the money. They just do not have the pressure from the customer base, right? And
you're allowing them to just keep make subpar products.
And part of it is that they're going to look at their customer base and go, "Well, you don't buy our stuff anyway. Why should we listen to you?"
Yeah.
Like, it's this toxic cycle. Yeah. And my problem, like, I'm not complaining about Microsoft. I'm complaining that there are no good games. They should be driving with all of the IPs that they got. They should be driving every niche.
Yeah.
And if not driving it, I'm not expecting them to make the best title out of everything, but like, they should be nipping at the heels of whoever leads the field.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm sorry to continue to come back to Banjo-Kazooie, but remake that, make it excellent, and even if it isn't the best thing since sliced bread, like, it should be nipping at the heels of the family gaming leader, which is Nintendo. It
should be in there. It should be considered as an option. It should be on someone's mind. Be like, there's also this game you can play.
I'm looking for a game like this. Oh, you should try out of Xbox Studios Banjo-Kazooie.
Kazooie.
Yeah,
I like that.
Like, you should.
But it's not. It's not.
They
seem to be okay with that, which is the worst mentality.
They could print money, but this is the what they need to do is make some absolute bangers, and then go, "Look, we're dropping Game Pass. It doesn't work. We're going to continue it for free for 3 months for everybody that wants to play it, but it's not working. What we have for you instead is Banjo-Kazooie, is Halo 1, like a new Halo that actually is good. Games in every genre, and they fuck hard.
Yeah.
So look, it's worth your money, but Game Pass isn't working for us.
What if Microsoft are actually secretly really humble and they're like, look, we don't make good games, therefore we made Game Pass, so you don't have to spend any money just because our games aren't worth anything.
We're worthless.
What if they're just super humble? It's like, we make crap, so we're not going to ask you for bare money.
We're not worth your money, and we know it. Check out Game Pass.
Bro, speaking of people who are worthless, let's thank our super bros who support us over at patreon.com/Conbrosations. Our super bros are My Juicy Left Nut, Sabine from Smallville, and Gams Master, the leader of the Empire, the fearless one, the great Lord Vader himself, step cousin, who isn't really that important, but sometimes he likes to come by, he likes to sit in the ship, and then he's like, but we make sure we take the keys out so we can't really.
It's like, you know, when the plane has 2 steering wheels.
Oh, yeah.
They're just like, unlock it from the actual steering. So he's like, thinking he's, the pilot's just sort of doing that. Yeah.
Exactly.
You know when you would give your little brother the second controller?
Oh, yeah.
So they think they're playing like on Rainbow Road.
Exactly.
You'd never let them play on Rainbow Road.
They'd fire straight off the kids. Thank you guys so much for your support over there. Thank you for your unwavering support.
We appreciate it.
Patreon.com/Conbrosations.
We appreciate it.
I want to make a quick correction. I mentioned from a correction, more like clarification.
Are you saying this is Correcting Conversations, my favorite, never forgotten one segment?
A little bit different. One clarification. Last week we spoke about the leaks from Insomniac.
Yeah.
And I think in our excitement, we might have described it as amazing. When not really what we meant is that
speaking to Alpha about this?
Yes.
So I did too. Please continue, yeah.
What I can speak for myself anyway.
We did 100% misspeak. Yeah, no, we did.
When I meant amazing, I was more talking about the size of the leak because it was incredible in the size of it.
Yeah. You know when they talk about World War One, it's the Great War. It's not my favorite one.
But that's a really
it's
good
like
one.
the biggest one.
The good one. It was actually really good. If you think about it, it was really good. No, it was more like it was the size of it.
Yeah.
It may have been. We given people the impression that we enjoyed everything that happened in there. There was still a ton of personal information that was leaked in there. A lot of personal passion that was snuffed out because of all of the leaks and projects that people are working on.
There were some interesting insights that you could get out of it, and that's what we were interested. Also,
in no way were we trying to say that it was great, and not trying to say that these hackers are doing anything good here, because it was just ransom. Basically, they were like, we're holding everything to ransom for some money.
That's another point, and we just did it again. We referred to it as a leak. It's not a leak. It's a hack.
It's a hack.
It is. This is 100% like a criminal activity, and in fairness, big multinational corporation is the victim of it, right? Yeah. Actually, the people whose personal information got leaked because of it, not leaked, was criminally released, are the victims of it. And we refer to it as a leak because the info's out there, and it's just we talk about information coming out before it's intended to, which this was never intended to, as leaks, and it's just like the common usage. But actually, like I asked Alpha about this, and he was like, I didn't like the way you spoke about it, and he was right. Like, we did call it a leak, and it's not a leak. Yeah. This isn't like footage coming out early before it's intended to be released, right? That's a leak. None of almost all of this was never intended to see the light of day. It came out because of criminal activity. Like, it was 100% not a good thing. And we did, there was some interesting stuff in there, and we got keen about that and referred to it as a leak. And I think we mentioned it was great, but what we really meant was that, like, it's really insightful stuff that we should never have seen.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about it, on my wish list would be some data from Xbox. If any hacker was to do it, which is awful, I would love to see the actual numbers.
I would too. Just want to check on one thing just here.
Anyway, to be clear, because we did definitely misspeak. It's not a good thing. That should never have come out.
Yeah.
But it was out. Can't put the genie back in the bottle. And so we were looking into it. And there was some really interesting stuff in there, which, again, we never should have known.
So therefore, we're never going to take back our what we said.
We said,
suck it.
Day one, we said Cyberpunk 2020 is the best game ever made.
Best game.
And we stand by that. We stood by that the whole way through.
And look, proven right. Vindicated. I
really wish you would have stuck to that. That would have been so funny.
That would have been hilarious. While we're talking about our great great viewers, our great audience, our great bros. Let's also thank some people who support us again at another tier, the $5 tier, the True Gamers.
True Gamer.
Over at patreon.com/Conbrosations. You can click the link in the description if you want to join them over there and get this podcast the day we record it rather than with the public people over on Sunday. Those great people are Gams Master, Sheps is Crusty Right Now, Sab2557, Gerald Tucker, Mikey T, Fishy, Alpha Aquila, Dagenham Dan, Adam Sunling, Max H, and Super Whale Ben. Thank you guys so much for keeping the lights and mics on the gaming going here. Conversations. Thank you so much. All right, let's talk about the game that you've been dying to talk about, Palworld.
Yes.
So for those of you guys that don't know, a game has taken over the internet, literally taken over the internet.
Yeah.
You can't go anywhere without hearing it. A game called Palworld, which essentially, if you look at it, if you just squint your eyes, just looks like an open world Pokemon game.
With guns. With guns.
With guns, which makes it even better. It's essentially an open world Pokemon game. And it is huge. It does all the things that you think. There's all these monsters going around. You catch them with these ball-like objects. You have to wear down their health to get them to a point where they're easy to capture. You're a character running through. There's even been a Pokemon mod for Palworld, which changes you to playing Ash and all the Pokemon into Pokemon, which is probably just a minor tweak.
Yeah. I believe that was DMCA'd on the first day.
Oh, yeah, 100%, 100%. And it is doing amazingly. It sold 7 million copies of the game in the first 5 days on Steam.
Yeah.
Just to put that into perspective for you, the last mainline Pokemon game, Pokemon Arceus, sold 500,000 less in 1 week. So 2 days more and 500,000 less than Palworld sold in 5 days.
It's pretty impressive. It's pretty insane.
2 million concurrent players. Crazy.
Just because I'm not done beating on Xbox, people were saying, well, that's only the Steam sales. Like, how much money must they have made through Xbox and stuff? Because it's exclusive to Steam and Xbox. None, because it's on Game Pass, and I believe it's on Game Pass. And even if it's not, they don't pay for games over there. So it doesn't matter when you're estimating the money that they make. Which, by the way, it's got regional pricing.
Yeah.
So it's not all the same as what you see in your country, but ignore Xbox because they don't pay for games.
So the actual developers of the game, they put out the numbers and whatnot. They put out their numbers saying like 7 million or so and so on. And some other outlets reported and was like, it's just a hair over like 7 million or something like that. And then they asked for Xbox asked for clarification, like how much of that is on Xbox. And they're like, it's insignificant. It's like infinitesimal. Like there's no point in even mentioning it.
We don't care about you because you're useless.
We just mentioned Steam numbers now because that's the only place we really care about.
Not only is it the only place we care about, but it's the only place that makes us any money. Mm-hmm. So fair
this
dues.
game is crazy.
It looks cool. We should get it probably.
I mean, if we're gonna be like everyone else in it, might as well. We're content creators. If you haven't seen it though, check out some footage. When you sent me the trailer, I was like, "Oh, this looks like strange. This looks like Pokemon.
Yeah,
looks a lot like Pokemon. Is this just an open world Pokemon game?" And then one of the characters,
basically Electabuzz,
pulls out a minigun. I'm like, "Whoa, hold on a second. What happened?"
There's a fundamental difference.
We did a left turn somewhere. I didn't see it, and it was hilarious.
I gotta say, one of the things that I like, 2 points, right? So, Twitter, like, White Knights have been sort of hitting up Nintendo, being like, have you seen this? First of all, the game's been in development for 3 years. They DMCA'd a guy within 8 hours.
I love that.
They have seen it.
I love the idea. Nintendo, are you catching this over here? No, we don't see anything outside our 4 walls.
You think they don't know about it?
The guys that are notorious for hitting kids up with lawsuits for drawing Mario on a Christmas card.
Right. Like, they've seen it. Also, so Nintendo had to put out a statement. They were like, it's on our radar. We're having a look. Please stop tweeting us.
Yeah.
We know.
Please. They're investigating it now actively.
Investigating. Yeah. But then they're not. The game's been in development for 3 years. They've known about it.
Yeah, there's something about it that they just can't touch. I don't know what it is. I would have thought they could, but...
The thing is, there's so many games that are similar to Pokemon out there.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot. Like the Monster Catcher, Monster Hunter type niche. Like it's full of stuff like that. And Pokemon wasn't even the first to do it. There were games way before it that I forget what they were called, but like Dragon Quest and stuff like that. Like this isn't, it's sort of like the reason Tekken can't sue Mortal Kombat and vice versa.
Right.
You punch people in the face, like you catch monsters. Yeah. So if Nintendo could sue and had a case, they would have done it. Don't worry. Especially now this game is like, popped off the way that it has. So please stop talking about Nintendo. Like they're one of the most sue-happy companies in the world.
I love that idea. It's just like they're pretending like there's a guy. Bro,
poor Nintendo doesn't know.
I've seen your missus go in the grocery store with some guy, and he's like, "Wait, what?" It's like Nintendo are like, "Hold on a second.
Wait a minute." Like, trust me, they know.
They've managed to sell 7 million copies, get 2 million people concurrent playing, everyone on Twitch streaming it, and Nintendo's like, "What's going on?"
It's ridiculous. It's insane.
Hold up.
One of the things that I gotta say, like one of the things I love or really enjoy about Powered, which I haven't played but I've watched a bit of it of people streaming it, is that like Pokemon is just sort of a world where Pokemon exist.
Yeah.
Whereas Power World, like when you build a base, if you need like a forge lit, you have a fire type Pokemon that blows the forge, which is sort of like alluded to sometimes happening in Pokemon, but like it's very much it's sort of slave labor-ish, but like you use the pals, you use the monsters to do things that they're suited to do. It's very normal. It's like what you would expect. It's also got like an actual survival element to it. Like you can, if you get too cold, you start taking damage and you will die. If you get too hot, you start taking damage and you will die. Like if you fall off a cliff, you take full damage, you will die, right? Like you can starve to death. So... And also, so do your Pokemon. Like, if you don't, like in Pokemon, the biggest thing you have to worry about is if your Pokemon are poisoned and can you walk to a Poké Center before they faint.
That really is the biggest problem, yeah.
Pals die.
Yeah.
Like, if they take enough damage, they die. That's it. They don't come back.
That's what's missing from my Pokemon games, death.
Have you ever done a Nuzlocke?
No, and I'm scared.
Like, a Nuzlocke is this dude back in the day who's, I think that was his name, it's called a Nuzlocke after the guy. He was like, Pokemon isn't hard enough, and he imposed rules like you can only catch the first Pokemon you encounter in a new region. If they faint, you consider them dead and you release them at the PC the second you get to Pokemon. You don't use them in between. Like, there's all these rules, and it makes it challenging where Pokemon wasn't before.
We don't just consider them dead. We snap their necks.
Right, exactly.
Pigeon.
Only dreams now. Yeah. It's like that scene out of Saving Private Ryan, Like, Jesus Christ. But, like, I kind of dig that, right? I kind of dig the fact that it's not just like a happy-go-lucky 10-year-old goes out into the world. It's like, well, what would it really be like? And I dig that. It's kind of cool. So I think that is quite engaging to a lot of people.
Question for you.
Yeah.
How long, or do they at all, do the Pokemon Company fast track their plans for an open world Pokemon game with all these survival elements? The game that we've all been asking for since the beginning.
Didn't they kind of do that with Sword and
Kind
Shield?
of. It didn't. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't full fledged. Like they made it a bit open in some areas, and I was like, "This isn't what we was asking for.
Yeah.
We was asking for something more than this." And these guys are essentially closer to it than Pokemon Company were. And I imagine they did that so they can sell a game in between, until they get to the final like true version. And so do you think they got that far, or do you think they're not
100%.
going to do that?
100%. Because ironically, Nintendo is one of those companies that are quite abusive to their fan base. They make the products that they want, but they're like, here, buy it. There's all you're getting, you're going to buy it, right? And instead, they should have listened to what people wanted, but it's difficult. And here's this small company, also out of Japan, that went and did it because that was the game they wanted to play. So they did it.
That's what makes me think that maybe they won't. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Because Nintendo are very much like they get to dictate what they make.
Not anymore.
And everyone, well, that's the thing. Is this the moment that tips them over? Because up until now, not many people had any option or any say in what they were doing or what they were making. They were like, you want Pokemon. We know you want Pokemon. You're just going to eat whatever Pokemon we give you. We've got Pokemon at home. This is what you get.
Right. Well, it turns out that you can dictate these things by making a good product. Now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, look, There's no way we lost the last 2 generations of console wars, the most important wars, and there's no way that making good games makes people sell their PS5s to buy an Xbox. I know that's what you're going to say, but actually, as it turns out, if you just make an incredible game, 7 million people will buy it.
Strange,
in a week.
Strange. That's such a good point as well to that, isn't it? Like Phil Spencer saying making a good game means people won't buy it.
Who makes what's it? Power World,
and a $3 trillion company can't do it. That's what they're saying. Oh God.
Did I spell it wrong? Power World. There's an L there. Hold on. I want to see how many people are in this company. Developer Pocket Pair. 1 second. How many people work at Pocket Pair? Okay, the LinkedIn has 11 to 50 employees. So
that's crazy.
It turns out that actually, yes, you can do it. Pocket Pair, Larian, these are nobodies, and I mean this in the most genuinely incredible way. They're nobody. And what did they do? They came out and they set Baldur's Gate 3 set the bar for its genre for storytelling for RPGs. Power World has set the bar for open world, monster catcher types. Make good stuff and people will throw money at you.
Yeah.
That's all we are asking for is good stories, engaging gameplay, make something good and we will throw money at you.
Yeah.
That's also the PlayStation model. Not that PlayStation give a shit about you. It's the best way to make money. Make something good, people will throw money at you.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. That's literally all they have to do. Make Banjo-Kazooie. Make it good. Make a new Halo. Burn 4+ to the ground. Make a new one. Make it good. They have all the IPs.
Yeah.
All that you need, all they have to do is put a good story with good gameplay and make the game good. That's all you have to do.
That's the hardest thing in the world, isn't it?
That is all you have to do. 50 nobodies. Build this thing in a cave.
With a box of scraps.
Right?
With all due respect, I'm not Pocket World, was it? What they called?
Pocket Pair.
We're not Pocket Pair. Yeah, cool. You're just the richest company on the planet.
In fairness, Larian, it seems, has 400 employees, something like that. But that's still freaking nobody.
Yeah.
Blizzard just had 2,000 fired and they're considered non-essential. Right? So, and no one had ever heard of them. Right? Similar to, it's exactly what happened with CDPR when they brought out The Witcher 3. That is another perfect example. They're a nobody and they're being Bethesda, they're being Ubisoft. What are we doing? Make good stuff. Make it good. Make good stories that are good to play through.
These are all bad ideas. I don't see how that could possibly work.
Also, it's not profitable. What are we going to do when people throw money at us?
It's terrible. It's going to be awful.
You might as well set
think
up
about space to put all that money. It's just terrible.
The number of trips you have to make to the bank. Think about the fuel costs in this economy.
No.
It's insane to me. It's insane to me. The Witcher 3 proved it 8 years ago, and then Larian proved it last year, and then Pocket Pair proved it this year. Just make good stuff.
How many more bits of evidence do you need?
Just make good games. PlayStation, since The Last of Us release, that's 11 years ago, have proved it, right? The whole Uncharted series, all of The Last of Us, all of God of War, the recent ones at least, right? And in fairness, the OG3, have you played the OG3 yet? You have played them. They're good, right? They're a different kind of game, but they were good for what they were, right? Hades, that proved it, right? Just make good stuff. Just make good stuff. And
Stop making these stupid
and don't set a ridiculous bar. You're right. No one sold their PS5 to buy Power World.
What
a ridiculous thing.
Ridiculous statement.
But do you know what they did? They bought Power World.
Yeah.
Right? This company that went from, let's give it its max, 50 employees. I don't think it's anywhere near that, by the way. I heard it was under 20. They're on the map now.
Yeah.
This company of, again, in the best way possible, nobodies, just people that were passionate about a project and built a thing, just competed with, just beat Nintendo at their own game.
Right. Could you ever imagine beating Nintendo at their own
Like
game?
Pokemon's bigger than Zelda. Simple as that. It's simple as that. And they just beat Nintendo at their own game.
Yeah.
They made something that the Pokemon fans have been asking for 10 years. They did it right. It's good. It works. Like, it's got multiplayer. It will have multiplayer and PvP. Like, it has. By the way, the game has problems because 50 people made it.
Yeah.
And then 7 million people turned up, and it turns out their server system doesn't work very well.
Turns out.
Like,
who knew?
Who could possibly have told that? Yeah. This is also, by the way, one of those things where I don't expect the QA team to have found things like that. Because who expects 7 million people to buy it, and again, in the nicest way possible, nobody's game.
Yeah.
Right? You can't account for that.
I wonder how many more examples Xbox is going to need before they make a good game.
But this is the thing. They set their bar as, well, people have to sell their PS5s and buy an Xbox.
Yeah. And then no one's going to do that, so we will just stop.
And also no one's going to buy the game because it has to be on Game Pass.
Right, there you go.
Do you see what I mean? Like, this is what we're constantly saying, is that it is it's that snake eating itself. Like, it can't ever fix itself unless it breaks out of the loop.
Yeah. Speaking of games that did break the loop.
Yeah.
You know how every year Call of Duty and GTA are the best-selling games?
Yeah.
2023, that changed. Hogwarts Legacy was the biggest, the most sold game in all of 2023, beating the 14-year streak that Call of Duty has had on everything. Bloody insane. I think it sold like 23 million copies or something like that in the year, which was
we can
nuts.
skip past this because it's not worthy of any awards, because the person that invented the universe is a dickhead. So it's studio, it's incredibly passionate team. They're all mugs. They can all fuck off. No one cares. No one cares.
All of them, just awful people. Terrible.
Yeah, definitely.
The devil could consume them. They can all die in a fire.
Yeah, a grease fire.
A grease fire. Yeah, that would be bad because we don't want them to get away with it. Right. It's sort of like light burns or whatever. They're all terrible people and they all suck. And we can all feel good about ourselves on the internet because we said that.
Do you know what? The really, it's ridiculous. The worst thing as well is that I guarantee people in that team, even though it's one of the best sold games ever, basically, effectively, right? If it beat COD in that year, like, that's insane.
Yeah.
Feel bad about their product.
Yeah.
Because they were told your product is bad because the person who you based it off is bad. This is the thing.
That's the worst part. Gaslighting essentially someone into believing that their work is bad because of someone else entirely.
It's insane. Like
that's like the time when Russia went to war with Ukraine and was like, every Russian is a terrible person. It's like, no, decent people in fucking Russia.
Also, you think they get a choice?
Yeah, exactly.
Like Putin being in, like, the whole reason people have a beef with Putin is he's been in power for a very long time and has free elections, the same way Iraq did, the same way Syria did. They don't have a choice. The guy is the dictator in chief. There are no elections. Like, it's insane. And it really bothers me that this game got overlooked officially, despite being incredible.
Yeah, and so many people were just happy to have it happen. Like, you know how like the Barbie movie, Margot Robbie and Greta something or another, the director's name, Greta something, didn't get any nominations in this upcoming Oscar that's coming up. The whole world just started like getting up in arms and whatnot because of this creative passion in their minds didn't get the recognition that it deserved.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about whether it did deserve it. I haven't seen the movie, so I can't say. But people who are saying that it wasn't that good of a movie to
also went up against Oppenheimer directly within the same week.
Right.
So
but that aside, people are like, this is just terrible. But when a real creative thing that is clearly loved by millions and millions and millions.
Do you know what's crazy as well?
Not a peep. Not a peep.
Do you know what's meant by Eldritch Horror? Do you know that?
Who?
Eldritch Horror, like it's a genre.
Oh, okay. No,
you heard of Cthulhu?
Yeah.
So like the idea being like the ancient evil gods or whatever, tentacle monsters in space sort of thing, right, with many eyes and that sort of shit. It's called Eldritch Horror. The guy that sort of credited with sort of bringing that into the thing is, I forget his name. I do know it. 1 second.
I don't think you do know it.
Who made
lying.
Cthulhu?
He lies about this stuff often.
Oh, yeah.
Same start.
Lovecraft. H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh, yeah.
Horrendous racist.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Horrendous racist. But Eldritch Horror is a great genre. It's the thing, just because he's a piece of shit, but he had a great idea. I like motorways.
Therefore, you love...
Look, I'm just saying,
man who invented them.
1940s Moustache Man had a couple of hits and a lot of misses. But the hits stuck around, you know?
What we should have done is destroy all motorways because efficiency is not good at the expense
I don't like Elon Musk, so I'm selling my Twitter and buying a VW. Also 1940s Moustache Man.
That dumbass, that bitch was so dumb. Who was that? Like, she was like,
I forget who it
Christina
was.
Ricci or something like that?
Yeah.
Someone dumb trying to do some virtue signaling.
Right. And my point is that sometimes good ideas are good independent of where they come from.
Yeah.
Right? And Harry Potter is a great universe that was created by somebody who, first of all, I don't care what opinions a billionaire has. She's a billionaire. Fuck off. My biggest beef with J.K. Rowling is actually that she is probably the most ethically billionaired person. Like, she got her money in the least predatory way I can think of.
Yeah, didn't open up sweatshops to sell these little bits of merchandise.
Right.
Like,
Sold
you
a
can say,
book.
like Apple, they pay people in China, like,
Pennies on the
and then all
pound
the
sort of
mining
thing,
they have to do to get batteries and shit like that, and how it destroys
Right.
the world and whatnot.
Yeah.
This was like, she wrote a book, some stories.
It did really well.
It did really well.
Yeah.
Fuck, it did.
Like, and I want to beef up billionaires. I'm all for hating on billionaires for being that rich, you know? But like, as a way to do it, this one in this specific case, like, that's about as ethical a way as doing it as possible, right? Yeah. So that's my biggest beef against her, like, is not being able to really latch onto it. She's a billionaire. She has stupid ideas. Who cares?
And she's not in the same realm as us in terms of like living. She's never going to get anything.
And she didn't have any involvement with the game.
Yeah.
A group of obviously passionate people. Like, you play the game. It's so good. The game feels like Harry Potter. Everything I wished that I would get that letter in the post. That's everything I wanted. This is the closest I'm going to get to joining Hogwarts because I get to join Hogwarts.
It's everything we wanted in a Hogwarts game, and it's here.
It's perfect.
Yeah. Anyway, that was fantastic.
I'm passionate about a few things. I'm passionate about Microsoft fricking up everything they possibly can, and when people that are attacked that shouldn't be over things they shouldn't be attacked for. Like, if they had, if you rolled credits and they were like, special thanks to J.K. Rowling. All of her opinions are fantastic. Also, we hate the trans community. Like,
then it's like,
cool.
Okay, we got something to talk about here, guys.
Yeah. Oh, man, I enjoyed playing the game up until that point. But that's not what it's like.
That would be hilarious just to put that right at the end. Not hilarious for what it means, but like everyone's enjoying the game.
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
gave it that chance. And then right at the end, it's like a huge message that's
Also-
unskippable. We get it right.
Yeah, you cannot be skipped. It won't let you turn the PlayStation off.
By purchasing this game, you condone
You've directly supported. Like,
you condone everything.
The worst thing about this whole thing is it's so contradictory because in the game, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be very obviously trans character, saves your ass. Is like they have got your back, no questions asked, and literally saves your life. Without the bar, I was going to say barmaid, I don't know they're right. The bar owner.
Yeah.
The Hogsmeade bar
Yeah, I think it's the owner of the whole thing. So yeah.
Like, without her, you 100% get got. You get got. She not only does she stand up for you, but she gets the whole bar to stand up for you. Yeah. That is like it or not, and some people are going to complain about it. That's a pivotal scene.
Yeah.
They gave it to a trans character. The character is trans. It's not like a weird voice option. That is a trans character. I think in the credits she's referred to as the trans that's a trans character.
Yeah.
There isn't a question about it. So within the game, they expressly go against the things that people didn't like about J.K. Rowling.
Doesn't matter. It's never been about that. It's never been about. That's the issue, isn't it?
I hate
it's
it so
about them
much.
seeming like they're the angels of the internet and the virtue signaling and
they have a trans
persona.
character in there, and she's a fucking badass, and she saves your bacon.
I'm only here for the badge that I can show on Twitter.
That's
The
so
only badge that I
frustrating.
can show. It's so fucking annoying. Speaking of, I thought of a segue earlier because of something that you said, but
sorry,
it's
bro.
lost now. But speaking of
Just
people
segue.
making really bad arguments,
Yeah,
I
okay.
guess we'll do that. A tweet came up online.
Just one.
Should I say person? Should I person? Fuck
What's
it.
the tweet?
I won't say the person's
Okay.
name. Put out a tweet regarding The Last of Us Part 2.
Okay.
So The Last of Us Part 2 is conversation of the story and how good it is and the decisions they made, and it came up again because of the remaster that came out. And obviously all the same conversations. It hasn't progressed at all, the conversation.
Yeah.
Everyone's still in their same camp of whether they like it, whether they don't like it, and the reasons for that.
Okay.
But this person decided to make a straw man argument, essentially, of what everyone's issue is for not liking the game.
Okay.
This person said, I will never understand the attempts to discredit The Last of Us Part 2 specifically because story events made people angry. Dislike whatever you please, but to suggest a story is objectively bad because it intentionally made you feel strong emotions feels contradictory.
So far, I'm on board. Overall.
The problem is that that's not the argument. People aren't hating The Last of Us Part 2, and I'm a person who likes The Last of Us.
I love The Last of Us 2, yeah.
People don't dislike The Last of Us Part 2 because it makes them feel strong emotions.
You agree?
There's not one person, maybe one person, has ended the game and gone, oh, that made me really sad and upset. I hate this game.
Yeah.
That's not the reason why people are angry.
Yeah.
People are angry for a multitude of other reasons. Joel dying because one of their favorite characters.
Yeah.
Abby maybe not being their favorite character.
Yeah.
Abby doing some really odd things or whatever it might be, and in the end not getting justice for what she did to Joel. Stuff like that. All these things are valid reasons. They're not reasons that I would say is to say objectively bad, but they're reasons and they're legitimate ones, and you can understand the logic that goes behind them.
That's the worst kind of strong man, because everything they said I agree with, but the problem is that isn't the issue.
That isn't the issue.
It's funny because that caught me out. I was like, yeah, I agree with what they said.
Exactly.
Wait a minute.
But that's the thing. This is what a lot of people on the internet and a lot of people on like politicians and stuff like that. This is what they do. They make an argument that isn't the issue.
Yeah.
But is easy to defend because it's such a weak and such a watered down argument.
Yeah.
Such bullshit. And now that I hope, because now I did this with somebody else and they're like, man, I see people do that a lot. I hope you see this a lot now. This is what people do on the internet. And it happens a lot with DC and Zack Snyder and stuff like that. They'll water down it to the most defendable argument possible and then be like, that's the argument. When really that wasn't the argument.
You're saying James Gunn has never made a good thing in his life.
That's exactly what you're saying.
No, hold on a minute.
No. I said that maybe it's not quite suited for this.
Yeah.
You're saying
he's excellent at his thing.
The worst director in the world. It's like, what I said.
No, exactly where I was going.
Or you can make and that's why I'm very careful with my tweets sometimes because I'm like, if I say four things.
Me too, I've never tweeted out anything I've ever regretted.
No.
Not once.
Never. If I say four things and I'm like, they're going to latch onto this last one and make that the argument, I'm taking that out.
Yeah.
Because I know people will do that. They'll be like, "This thing's really easily defendable," and I'm gonna say it in a way that doesn't really mean what he was saying. So I'm gonna twist it a little bit.
Yeah.
That's what people do all the time, and I really hated this.
You
person
love
for saying
Kratos, but
this.
Kratos kills Athena. Athena's a woman. Why are you pro domestic violence?
Exactly.
It's funny because
Strongman arguments are the worst.
it's so frustrating. I recently heard Pirate Software, the guy that's blowing up on YouTube and Twitch and stuff.
Yeah.
He said something that I really thought it fits here. He was like, there's one day of the year where people are on the internet properly, and that's April Fool's Day. Because people see something and go, this might be bullshit. Let me see if this is bullshit. But every other day of the year, they just believe stuff. And I was like, wait a minute.
Fuck.
Now, wait a minute.
Hold on.
Like, that's 100%, it's 100% right? Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, people would, like, you could write that tweet with the 4 points on April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
And people would look at it and go,
oh, it's clearly a joke.
It's a joke, or that might be bait.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and they won't latch onto it. But any other day, they're like, oh, so what you're saying is James Gunn deserves to be shot in the head because he also enjoys Superman. Like, no, actually, the point I was making was he's great at his style of movies, but that style of movie doesn't necessarily fit the dark, gritty nature of, say, for example, Batman. Like, you know? Like, he said it and I was like, God damn. That not only does that apply to like news articles, you know, or like headlines, but it applies to everything. People always take everything that's said on April 1st with a pinch of salt, you know, and they're critical the way they should be. And do you know what? If everybody just was on the internet as if it was April Fool's Day, we would have, it's that a meme, really, you know, they'd be like, if everybody was on the internet as if it was April Fool's and like we got flying cars and we're on the moon and shit.
That is really good. That is really good though.
I just, he's like, it's spot on. It is spot on. I wish people would just read a thing and then pause for a second and say, hold on a minute. Like Xbox, when we all play, we all win. You go, yeah, when we all play, we all win. But what are they doing? You know, it's funny that you say that because these are the things that you've been doing that don't necessarily suit that. So how do you know, why does nobody do that? I wish they would do that. Yeah. I wish they would do that. I'm also very happy to see that Hogwarts Legacy was the most bought game of 2023 because it is excellent. And as a game goes that is true to an IP, like we always said, Battlefront 2 was so true to Star Wars, it felt like Star Wars, you know? And Hogwarts Legacy feels like Harry Potter. It feels like the world of Harry Potter, you know, the wizarding world. It's perfect. It's so good. And I'm really glad to see that the game was successful. You know, even if it wasn't recognized the way it should be.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the game selling and the game and enjoyed by people is the thing that matters. It is just a commentary more on the disingenuous nature of everyone who's judging the industry, the critics, the news outlets, and the virtue signalers online, really, and how petty they are and how stupid really they are.
True.
That's all that is.
It's sad.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. All right, bro. Well, that's all we have time for today. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the True Gamer podcast. We'll see you guys again in a couple of weeks. If you are a fan of us and you want to hear more funny stuff, something not game related, you can head over to our other channel, Conbrosations After Dark, which we'll leave a link in the description. And you can listen to the Conbrosations podcast where we talk about all kinds of stuff and just get really down and dirty. And also there's a...
Please stop saying it like that.
There is a post show that's exclusive to Patreon as well if you're one of the $1 patrons.
The lucky few.
Exactly. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you, bro, for joining me. I'll catch you all in the next one. Kamehameha!
This isn't Dragon Ball Z.
No, just that. It's the same bullshit. It's the same cartoon nonsense, isn't it?
Cartoon. I hate you so much. I know it's bait, and I 100% fell for it as well. I just latched onto that. He said cartoon. There's no cartoon. It's anime. It's its own unique art form.
This thing with the water by the person that was